Everyone, this isn't a video I ever saw myself making, but this is something that has been affecting me for the past few days, and I felt like it was important to address my feelings about this. This video isn't going to be a very light-hearted video or a funny video, but it's going to be quite a sad and serious video, and I hope once I speak up about what I've needed to say, I will have made myself feel better, along with anyone else that may be struggling through a similar thing. I also said on Twitter that I was going to be making some videos which are motivational to try help people who are going through struggles, and I guess this is going to be the first one. But for the past few days, I've been very upset about something that has happened and still kind of am now, and this has involved myself and someone who I really admired and appreciated on the internet. If you're wondering who I'm talking about, there's this user in the MLP fandom that you may have stumbled across, particularly if you're someone who loves the Cutie Mark Crusaders, and that user's name is CMC Scootaloo. CMC Scootaloo is someone in the MLP fandom who is a user that typically appears on almost any website on the My Little Pony side. I have come across him mainly on Twitter, Instagram, DeviantArt, as well as Derpybaroo, and he's someone who leaves comments quite a fair bit on images of his favourite ponies and had some logical and solid debates with people in the comments whenever he gets the chance. He isn't actually Scootaloo if you're wondering, but he's called that because he's a big fan of Scootaloo and the Cutie Mark Crusaders, and he goes by another name called Fluttercheer, which is what he's called on FIM fiction. I have followed him since around May of this year, and I've enjoyed reading the stuff he posts in debates and arguments he has across all his websites. I'm also a brony who likes the Cutie Mark Crusaders too, just like he is, and I would love when he shows appreciation for the CMC. He would usually make me feel happy, and it would make me feel better about my day whenever I see him post something. I did agree with a lot of the things he said. I had high admiration and respect for him, and even said I was willing to follow in his lead, and not once did I ever despise him or think about ever doing anything nasty or stupid to him. I really liked him and thought he was a great guy. However, a few days ago, I was scrolling through Twitter and I clicked on his profile to see what recent stuff he had tweeted, and then I find out that he's blocked me. And when that happened, I felt so confused at first and wondered what I had done wrong, as well as feeling a twinge of anxiety. He'd completely blocked me out of nowhere for no good reason. From what I can remember, I never did anything to him and didn't ever have any ill will towards him. I respected him, admired him, and highly praised him, and for some reason he ultimately turned me down. He didn't just block me on Twitter, however, but also on DeviantArt and Instagram, because when I went there to check my list of followers, he didn't appear. And after he blocked me, I began to feel upset, and I have been for the past few days. The best way I can describe it is that I felt completely shattered and would usually dwell on it from time to time with some slight anxiety. It upset me because CMC Scootaloo was a person who I looked up to and had high admiration of in the MLP fandom, who I never expected would block me, but in the end he randomly turned me down. And some of you might say that I'm a wimp for being upset about some person on the internet blocking me, and I can see where you're coming from, because usually when somebody blocks me I don't dwell on it, but only if it's someone who I don't care about. However, CMC Scootaloo was somebody that I admired and looked up to, and it's normal to feel shattered and sad when someone you like turns on you. As I had stated that I didn't do anything to CMC Scootaloo, we also barely interacted with each other. While I did follow him, he's only noticed me maybe a couple times, and we haven't ever had a full conversation. I would perhaps understand it if we had talked to each other more often, but I never had an actual full conversation with the guy. Maybe if before he blocked me and we'd talked it out with each other, then we probably would have understood each other's side, but unfortunately that didn't come to pass, and he didn't seem willing to speak to me. As for how I'm coping with being upset about this, it's not affecting me to the extreme. I'm not severely depressed or anything, but I do dwell on it here and there every day, and I don't feel upset throughout the entire day. While I am shattered, I'm just a little upset, and I also have some time of enlightenment and fun here and there. The other day I went to Costco and bought one of the big pizzas that they have there, and that got my mind off it. I have also listened to music, and that has kind of cheered me up. I also went to the park, and going outdoors can also help counteract negative feelings about something. And while my main emotion that I'm feeling is sadness, my emotions also seem really muddled up and hard to regulate, but I do try my best. It also hasn't stopped me from making YouTube videos, as I posted 2 videos fairly recently, one about Brandon the Brony Pony and another about how vampires use mosquitoes, and even though I haven't been at my best, it hasn't stopped me from making content like that. I also did agree with a lot of the stuff CMC Scootaloo said, and even after he blocked me, I still do, and that's not gonna change. I'm not backtracking on anything he said. I still stand by it all, and in some ways he's kind of shaped me and my beliefs for the better. If it weren't for him, I wouldn't really be where I am now in some ways. And if someone you look up to randomly turns you down, I think it is important to keep believing them if you want, rather than changing your opinions, because they're not forcing you to do that, and you have the power to keep believing what you can, as well as still believing what he's saying. I don't hate CMC Scootaloo even after he blocked me. I don't think he's an idiot, he's far from it. He was a very smart person who made a lot of logical and solid points, but it was very strange when he blocked me out of nowhere in this instance. And I'm definitely not the only person who has suffered through something like this, as I'm pretty sure everyone in their lives at some point was upset about someone they admire turning them down. And I was also really attached to CMC Scootaloo, and feeling so close and attached to someone who turns against you can ultimately shatter you. If you're also wondering if I cried, no I didn't. I almost did, however, but my tears never really came out. And I'm not a person who cries often. Sometimes I do when something badly affects my life, and there are rarer times like this when I almost do. To anyone who has gone through a similar thing to what happened between me and CMC Scootaloo, all I can say is that it's okay to feel upset about it. It's understandable and completely normal to feel upset and sad when someone you appreciate turns you down, and you're going to dwell on it for a while. I, myself, am not immune to feeling sad. It may seem like it on the internet that I'm a pro at bottling up my emotions, but there are times like this when I do feel really upset. But there will come a point where you have to move on from it, and it's going to be very hard to do, especially for me right now, but it will come eventually, however I don't know when. And I do think it is important that if the person shaped your beliefs to how they are now, to keep believing it and not backtrack, and even after they turned you down, they shaped you to become who you are now. But it's life, and it does happen even to the best of us, and what happened between me and CMC Scootaloo, it was a loss. It was an extremely miserable and upsetting loss that I had to struggle through. And even though CMC Scootaloo blocked me, one thing that I'm proud of in all of this is that I didn't do anything to him. I'm proud of the fact that I treated him with respect and admiration, and not once did I ever think to be mean and nasty to him for no reason. I'm not that kind of person. Another thing to mention is that I could keep reading his posts if I logged out of Twitter and searched his name, because even after he blocked me, I could do that if I wanted to, as I did appreciate the stuff he said. Maybe I will, but who knows. But that's the end of this video. I've said everything I needed to say, and before I end it off, I will just say thank you to all my fans and supporters who will support me through this struggle, and if anything like this has ever occurred to you, it would be great for you to notify me in the comments. And also to CMC Scootaloo, I'm gonna be very respectful and civilized here. If he's watching this video, which I don't know if he uses YouTube too often, let me remind you that I didn't do anything. I treated you with respect and admiration, and if only we could talk this over, maybe we could see through each other's side. I do not wish any harm on you. I never would, and it'd be the last thing I'd ever want to do. Okay? But thank you for listening to this message. And now I'm off to do some stuff.